Hey, this is a segment of our Fast Break podcast. If you guys want to check out more from MVP, hit us up at mostvaluablepodcast.com. Hope you guys enjoy. Keep on trucking.
But let's now move on to which West playoff contenders, or we'll use contenders lightly here, need to make a trade. Because one of the teams thrown in this article, and the team that I'm going to bring up mostly, it will be later on, but one team they throw in here is Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're not a playoff contender at all. And maybe they're saying they have pieces that they could trade, and obviously they do, which they currently have the 6th overall pick, and they have Ricky Rubio if they do want to have Chris Dunn succeed him. But the team that I want to throw out first and talk about, and we can move on after that, is the Portland Trailblazers, because maybe it was they, over succeeded last year, and maybe they overperformed and outperformed what this team actually was. But this team looked like a threat in the West last year with Dame and CJ playing lights out. But now you saw their interior defense get completely exposed, and the Trailblazers have just been looking bad lately. Dame's now hurt. I think he's missed 3 straight games now. So looking at the Trailblazers, looking at pieces that could possibly fit for them, should the Trailblazers make a move and try to get into that 8th spot, or should they fall back and try to get a top pick? Because I currently think they sit in like that 7 range with picks. So, Dave, throw it out to you first.
I think with Amino returning at some point this season, they're going to have hope defensively. I think they're awful defensively, like just flat out fucking terrible defensively. They can't stop anyone. And the biggest thing comes down to, well, let's look down low for you, because you have 2 great guards. Well, one great guard, one who's, outperformed his rookie, or not his rookie year, but last year, and then, Sophomore year, thank you. And kind of returned back to what we expected this year. So I think the biggest problem is just that they need to go out and get some stoppers. They don't need scoring from anyone outside of, their guards. And even, I think, like, Plumlee is playing better at this point, so it's not even a problem of scoring. It's just, if you can't hold the team under 115, or 110, that's outrageous.
They're the second most points given up per game, 111.3. I think they're only behind the Suns by like a point differential.
It's
so
goddamn terrible. Go get yourself a just lockdown defender, like a Tony Allen guy. I know Tony Allen's not for sale right now, but you need someone who can just flat out play defense. Don't give a rip about offense, because you need to add some toughness to this team, because they don't have it. They outright don't have it. I don't think they can compete for a championship until they have it.
I don't think they can compete with the championship even if they get someone right away.
No, but it's still like,
you got to build towards it.
You're completely out of the loop because you can't stop anyone. Yeah.
And the guy I want to throw out there that you bring up that's, a lockdown defender, a guy that doesn't want to be in the place he currently is in, is Nerlens Noel. I mean, we've talked about him before.
But what would they have to give up for Nerlens? Because I was thinking about
it. It's all 10 picks. Well,
it's a process, so they got to go with picks.
But how many? How many future picks are you giving up in this case?
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that many.
Nerlens for a 1 and a side bench player, probably.
Yeah, it's not outrageous.
The problem is Nerlens made it very clear what his feelings are towards the Sixers, so that lowers his value, even though he is still a very valuable guy and has been performing pretty well in his limited minutes.
That's the thing. You don't want to have a guy. It's pretty much, you can just say the argument, well, he doesn't want to play for you, so you're not going to get the best out of him, and you're just going to have a guy wasted on your bench when you could take a first-round draft pick in 2019 from us. And because I don't think they'll give up their draft pick for 2017, because right now it's currently so high.
Class.
So if
18 could be though. And if they have it, I don't have to look that up.
Yeah, and if Nerlens swings around and puts this team in a playoff position, well, yeah, then they're going to give up a team. But
that'd be an excellent stopper for them.
If Nerlens gets hurt because he does have injury problems, then they're going to be falling down more. Then you're pretty much giving the Sixers 3 top 10 picks. But still, I think that Nerlens is a possibility for them to get. I mean, Nerlens obviously doesn't want to be in Philadelphia. Do you think adding Nerlens can really change this Portland team?
I don't think it's one of those things where it's like, oh my God, we got to get Nerlens. We got to get Nerlens in here. I just think it's got to be.
I have the opposite. I think they need to get him in here.
I think it's just we need any kind of big man help, and I really like the one name that they mentioned in the ESPN article of Andrew Bogut, because I mean, we look at that Warriors team, what they were like when Andrew Bogut was
all those illegal screens.
We know.
I mean, think about how well Dame will shoot threes.
I mean, Bogut's not going to be the, hey, you know what, he's the lockdown defender, but he gives you a solid option down low, better than you have right now, and he'd be a lot cheaper than Nerlens. I know Nerlens is the home run kind of. He's the, I'll say, star player that we can put down low. But
we'll have a discussion about that later.
Yeah, I didn't want to say superstar because he's not a superstar. But it's just one of those things where
up and coming.
He's a potential star.
I'll say solid player that you could put down low in the post. Where Bogut, cheaper price that you can put there. The one player I look at, and it's a player that they already have. That last year, you felt like he was going to make the next step to kind of contribute to this team. Had the most minutes he's ever had in his career, although he was mostly coming off the bench, was Myers Leonard. And then it's like this year the minutes decreased. He's seeing less averages in points, less averages in rebounds. He's shooting with less percentage this year. And I know that Myers has had to deal with injury concerns like in the past, but I look at that. He made the next step, or it looked like he was making the next step, a 7-1 center down low. And then it's like, you know what? We need to find an answer. But I would go more for a Bogut who's a cheaper price.
But Myers, he's not a defensive player at all. He's a guy that can stretch the floor.
Yeah. I was just saying overall, like if just having somebody out there that could help down low. I'm not necessarily saying defensively. I was just saying overall with Myers Leonard.
Yeah, but I think Portland, the glaring hole is defensive help down low. And I think Bogut's definitely an interesting name to throw out there just because Dallas is so bad this year. And
Dallas might as well try to get anything they can.
Yeah, and right now I think they currently sit at the 3rd pick. So if you can even add another one on, you could have a guy like Malik Monk, Harrison Barnes, and then you could throw a guy later on there, maybe a Grayson Allen. I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there. That could possibly help your team. But I'm going to consistently go back to Nerlens because I know you see the decrease in minutes, and I think the change of scenery for Nerlens, because we haven't really been able to talk about him. I think the change of scenery, playing with a guy like Dame who is so electric, playing with a guy in CJ who is electric.
Have a point guard for the first time in his career.
Yeah,
that's going to be nice.
And then also, with Nerlens too, seeing the front office, Dame and seeing the front office kind of making a change and wanting, a push, that might invigorate Dame to get back.
It's trying to be a winning culture,
And Dame's a guy that likes, being pissed off. A pissed off Dame is unstoppable because he saw LaMarcus go and he's like, oh, you're leaving here? I'm going to turn it up and
we're going to knock you out of the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's one thing with I think Nerlens might be the perfect fit for Portland. It might be too perfect of a fit not to go for. And if he doesn't go for it, I think Portland's going to be fucking up big time.
And really, and this is the last point that I had to make on it that I just thought of is, do you think that the pissed off spark from Dame really covered up what this really stemmed from? And that was LaMarcus Aldridge leaving.
Well,
because at first it was, we're not talking about this because they were winning because Dame is pissed off and Dame is willing them to win.
And CJ was outperforming.
But I think if you saw that spark from Dame and you could make the playoffs as a 5th seed last year, I think that is just enough to say, yes, losing LaMarcus obviously hurts, but the fact that you do have Dame who can really take this team to the playoffs, then you really don't need to worry as much because you're not paying LaMarcus Aldridge a ton of money. And, if you're not winning, then LaMarcus is probably going to want to leave anyway. So I think that the loss of LaMarcus obviously hurts just because he is such a great player down low. But I think that with Dame showing that him and CJ could take this team to the playoffs, you don't have to worry about that much. And then you get a guy in Nerlens who might have some injury problems, but he is still young and he still is fresh because he hasn't been playing in such a damn long time. Yeah. I think that it's too perfect of a fit to pass up. What other West contenders? Because we can get to the East in a different episode. What West contenders do you think should be making trades?
You know what? As much as I don't like saying this, it's the Kings, and I'm on the fence with them because I want them.
Currently sitting at the 8th seed.
I want Boogie to go somewhere else. I want him to be free because I think it would be better for the league and just way more entertaining. But at the same time, the fact he's dragging them to a playoff position, but we know he hasn't been successful in getting them there and winning at all in the playoffs. So it's like, I wonder what they could do at this point to kind of get over that tipping point. You have the best center in the NBA right now, but an NBA that doesn't value the center, because of how guard-driven the league is. You have a player who is a pure scorer in Rudy Gay, who seems to have good compatibility with him, but at the same time, there's value there to be traded away. You have an interesting group of role players and a stockpile of centers. So it's like, where are we going? How do we make this team a playoff team?
That's the one thing. The Kings need to become concise because Kostas Koufos is currently on the trade block. Houston's looking at him. Ty Lawson's playing great backup point guard play, so he's got a ton of value. Rudy Gay's always in trade block conversation. Right. Everyone wants DeMarcus to leave. So I think you need. I mean, the Kings are, again. I don't know.
It's a team. It looks like everybody's. It looks like a fire sale, but yet they're in the playoffs. It's like, wait, where are we going?
That's the thing. I mean, it's pretty much the Kings being inept, and they're like, oh, this guy was good. This guy was good. And they're just gluing stuff together. And if they glue it together the right way, they might actually have a good team here. But like, they need to get rid of clutter. They need to get rid of players and bring in the right ones to play around Boogie. And that's one thing that if they had an inept front office, this team might be a legit threat in the West, because you do have a player like DeMarcus Cousins, and then you get guys who can help him and really help him succeed. Then this team might actually be a contender. And I don't know exactly who they should be looking for, but I just think that the Kings, there's a lot there for the Kings.
Do you feel like they've got to move one of their, someone as good as Rudy Gay to get some piece back that kind of fits? I don't even want to say better, but like that improves the team. Do you feel like they have to move a namey name, or do you feel like if they can improve the bench quality or do some of the little stuff to clean up their game?
I think Rudy and Ty Lawson off the bench could be something fantastic for them. So I think moving a guy like Kostas Koufos, the center they got from Ohio State, and moving him to Houston, I think that could add more value to this team, and then you can really kind of declutter this and be like, all right, our second unit's going to be Ty Lawson, Rudy Gay, that's going to be our headliners, and then DeMarcus, you got the first team, and you can just run with it. And I think having that, and then having a fresh Rudy Gay and a fresh Ty Lawson coming out for Darren Collison and whoever they do put at the 3 with taking Rudy Gay out, I think this team could become concise and really make a push.
You know, and just one small point before I let you go, Ricky, is we noticed that with Boogie, it seemed like his best play, even during the last Olympics, was having all the greatest scorers on your team on the court at once isn't the most efficient way to win games. By moving Boogie to that 2 team during the Olympics, they actually were way more successful because he was able to dominate the 2s, and the scoring was more balanced. You didn't see those droughts. So by moving, someone like Rudy Gay to the bench where he doesn't have to play and share the ball, that might be an interesting way to go about it.
Well, I mean, with me, when I think of the Kings, we talk about them so much.
We love
the Rudy Gay, we got to talk DeMarcus Cousins trade, but really the one thing I think about is this success the team, or could we put a little bit of credit on, hey, they just got the right coach to help them this year? Because Coach Yeager, I feel like, got a bad rap for what he did with the Grizzlies, which you have that many injuries and will them to the playoffs, or will them to try to will them. He got fired.
Well, he got fired because he was looking for somewhere else. But as a head coach, he's very...
No, I'm saying now it's not a bad rep, but like at the time he was fired, and we're like, to me, I thought that was the biggest mistake that the Grizzlies could have made. I would have kept him on. I would have said, you're our head coach.
It doesn't look like a bad mistake because Fizdale's been great.
Fizdale hasn't been bad. I'm not saying they made the wrong choice there, but this has been the best situation for Yeager, to where part of me goes with the Kings, and it's really a iffy kind of a move, is if you've worked this far with this team, why fix what ain't broken? Are you expecting to win a championship? No.
But that should be every
team. You got to make moves to get better, but part of me feels like making a move, you don't make a move
just to make a move.
Just to make a move. Make a move that's going to set you up for the future. That's what the Kings have to look for, the future, not this season.
Well, that's the thing. You have DeMarcus Cousins, who is your future, and then a guy like Rudy Gay is not going to be your future, but he could help your future, as in the guy off the bench who can be your scoring threat. A guy like Ty Lawson who could be a veteran scorer off the bench, or just a veteran playmaker off the bench, because we saw when Ty Lawson is obviously not dealing with his issues off the court, he's a phenomenal player. I mean, when he came back in, what was that, 2015 or whatever, for Denver, he was electric. I mean, Ty Lawson and I think it was Nate Robinson after he left the Bulls, those two were fantastic. So when those two are on and you have those two coming off the bench, you have DeMarcus Cousins, you move a guy like Koufos, and you move some clutter like Ben McLemore and these bad draft picks you've had, and you have DeMarcus Cousins be able to play by himself, and he can dish it out to Aaron Aflalo, and this could pretty much be like Dwight Howard back when he led the Magic to the NBA Finals against the Lakers in 2010. I think this could be something. I think there's definitely something there, and that's the one thing that kind of pisses me off when we consistently talk about the Kings, is that fans of Sacramento, they kind of understand this, and I just think the front office doesn't understand that. So I think that you can make moves that help your future, but it's just you have to really kind of you have the right coach, you have the right star. It's just you need to put it in the right direction, and I just think it's not in the right direction right now. So this team that is 14-18, I think they could be up and possibly be contending with where like Oklahoma and Utah currently sits at 20-13, because if you look at a team like Oklahoma, and I'll take them specifically, they're led by Russ. They're led completely by Russ, and what have they done? They've gotten pieces that complement Russ.
They were the team I was going to bring up. Maybe a team that is contending that needs to make a move.
They're always making moves.
Well, they're always making moves, but I mean, we talked about a team in Portland where Dame pretty much willed them to a playoff, and CJ had a great year last year. Yep. That's really why they were that good. Let's look at the Thunder right now. Really, whenever you talk about the Thunder, are you talking about the Thunder or are you talking about Russell Westbrook? You're talking about Russ and what he's doing with his triple-doubles. If Russell Westbrook isn't putting up his triple-doubles and isn't getting his numbers, this Thunder team isn't the same kind of a team that we see right now. So to me, you got to make a move. And one guy that, I mean, they could make a move for, I saw something, you just searching through Google, just a name that people popped out there, is Darren Williams from the Mavericks. He's a guy who, he's a point guard, but you can use him as maybe kind of a backup point guard, maybe put him at the 2 when you need some fresh legs out there. And he's a guy that I could see Dallas saying, yeah, sure, we'll trade him, because really, he's your starting point guard, but with how high the Mavericks are going to be draft-wise, they can just get it in the draft. And they can get a point guard in the draft.
And plus with Dallas, I mean, Dallas is known for having 30-year-old point guards who are overrated and overpaid. And J.J. Barea, Darren Williams. I mean, like they have the whole list. They have Raymond Felton, I still believe. They have the whole list that can just fill in for Darren Williams. Real quick to wrap up this segment before we move on to what is a superstar. A quick game of buy or sell. Are the Kings buyers or sellers? Just buy or sell. That's all it is.
Sell. I'm going to say they're selling. I don't agree with it, but they're going to sell.
Ricky?
I'm saying neutral. I don't think they're going to be a buyer or a seller.
So they're not going to make any moves?
I think they might. The only move they will make is Rudy Gay, but only if they can bring in like young players and draft picks, which I just don't see.
So seller. Portland, buyer or seller?
They need to buy.
Buy.
Denver. Rumors of Blake Griffin possibly going there. Should they be buying or should they be selling Wilson Chandler and Danilo Gallinari?
That's off the radar.
Well,
for
after
me.
that layup Danilo had, just sell him. Shackton. If you watch Shackton a Fool on TNT on Thursday, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, sell Danilo.
I think they're neutral. They're not selling shit.
2 more Los Angeles buyers or sellers. We talked about them last week.
Clippers or Lakers?
Lakers. The team that matters.
I want them to sell. Sell.
Sell Uncle P and sell Uncle Lou.
Sweet Lou.
Whatever. Both uncles to me.
Last one. Minnesota. Should they be buying more young talent, buying a superstar, or should they be selling?
Neutral.
They need to find someone who plays defense.
All right. So buy or sell.
They ain't making the playoffs this year. Just keep it to the offseason.
Get off the fence.
I hate the fence is my jam.
All right.
And I hope you guys enjoyed that podcast from the Fast Break. If you want to check out more, click on the video right over there. Giddy up.